I don't know what I'm doing. Um, I just know that I have to speak to someone, but I can't. I have two friends. After high school, I have two friends, and they know my issues, I guess, but like not everything. And I I feel like I can't tell anyone anything like fully in depth. Um, how do I go about this? I I really should have thought about this before I press record. But I'm 19 years old. I'm turning 20 in April. Um, and I guess the gist of this video is to so I can go over my life story, hear it out loud. I don't know. I don't know. But I my name's Gustavo. I go by Guga. Um, and I guess, okay, I don't have a therapist. I can't speak to my family about this because every time I try to speak to them, it's like always a problem. And they ask me, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? But when I tell them what's wrong, it's like it's either my fault or it's like I can't have these feelings because my my life is on paper. It's good. I have a house. I have food, I guess, which is like not always. And I don't. I have $3 in my bank account. Okay, I've been working this job for 3 years. Um, I'm a pool cleaner in South Florida, and it's the worst job I've ever done in my life. I've never felt more unhappy and unfulfilled, and I feel like this is gonna be the rest of my life now. There's nothing I can do about it. Um, so yeah, I was born in 2006 to a waitress and a pool cleaner. Um, I have an older sister, and then 7 years after I was born, my younger brother was born. But I'm the oldest male child, and my dad's a pool cleaner. So ever since like when my mom couldn't watch me or anything, I would go with my dad to clean pools, and I've always hated it. It started at like 7 years old. I've always hated going to work with my dad on the weekends. And growing up, I always felt I was different than the other boys. I always kind of knew I was different, and I wasn't really born in the most openly accepting of families. Um, when I realized I was gay, I was probably around like 12, and that was like sixth and seventh grade. Don't make a 6-7 joke, but I got really depressed my sixth grade year, and then my seventh grade year when I was 12, 13. For the longest time, my seventh grade was like, oh, that was the worst year in my life. That was the worst year in my life. Um, little did I know that's very untrue. Seventh grade, I was really depressed. I wrote my suicide note. Um, I did some things I wasn't proud of. I hated myself because I just felt wrong. And there's a part of me now that still kind of feels like I'm wrong. But I don't know. I feel happy with myself, I guess. But yeah, seventh grade, I did some things that I really, I don't know, I regret. But that's how I was feeling at the time. Eighth grade, I had moved to a new county with new people, a new school, and I really found community in this new county, this new school. I found people that really like matched my energy, matched with my freak, whatever. And I like came out to like the people in my school. Like eighth grade, I had moved schools, and I was like, okay, I can finally be myself. I can be someone else. And I put up this front of like this like loud like openly like his self, like very like true to his self. I put up that front first, like for eighth grade all the way to like 10th grade. But it eventually kind of worked. I started to feel more confident in myself, and I had friends, and I don't know, life was just like getting better. And at the like I guess it was March of my eighth grade year, so August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, I was in this new school for 6 months, and then COVID happened, and I got really fat. I've always been big. It's always been one of my biggest issues. Like, I got bullied for it in like middle school, like even in elementary school. But I got super big. I just stayed, like, I did what everyone else did. I stayed online my whole time. And I remember, I think in COVID was the first time I tried to come out. Didn't work. I've tried to come out like 4 times, and every single time before the time that it finally clicked, I was like shoved back into that closet like even further than I was before. It wasn't fun. But yeah, 14, 15, 16, I was like still like happy. I had friends. After COVID, I went to school. I went to high school for the first time. High school was great. And then, what else happened in my life? Sophomore year was like the only year that I felt popular, I guess. And it wasn't what it was all cut out to be, but everyone knew my name. Everyone, like, I was like friends with everyone, or at least someone who knew someone. It was like pretty good. And then junior year I joined band again, because I was in band 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Okay, I'm a flute player, and I didn't go back to band for my freshman and sophomore year because I thought it was uncool. But my junior year, a lot of the unhappiness came back again. And then, but like my only like refuge, my only like respite from all of it was my newfound family that I found in band, which I love them all to this day, even though I don't talk to any of them basically. And I've always been like, I don't want to like be cocky, but I've always been smarter than everyone. In class, I was always the one with my hand up. I was the one that the teachers would like see that my hand was up and they just wouldn't call me because I've already answered 10 questions in that same class. So I've always been smart, but I've always been like lazy with homework and stuff. I never turned in homework. I never like I literally almost didn't graduate because I didn't do homework. And like I got amazing test scores. I I got an 1190 on my SAT, and I was like high as fuck doing that SAT. And I didn't study. I've never studied for anything. And I thought it would be a good idea to get high as fuck before my SAT, and I still got an 1190. I I had so much potential, and I just never I just I never capitalized on it, I guess. Um I my junior year, I found my new friends in band. Um, I was having fun in band, but outside of it, I was really hurting. I was, junior year just wasn't that good. And then at the end of junior year, I tried to come out again. Um, and I didn't talk to anyone for like 2 months because it didn't work. And then some other things happened that I will not put online in my family. That same summer, that summer was the worst summer in my life. And the funniest part is, I spent that summer in Brazil. I went to Brazil that summer because I'm Brazilian. My grandparents live there. Spent 2 months in Brazil. But I was going through this like horrible time in my life. But I was in Brazil. And okay, so after that summer, it was my senior year. I my whole senior year, I kind of just skipped and I got high, and my grades were like zero for everything, and I didn't do anything, and I actively knew that I was wasting away my future, but I just couldn't stop. I guess I didn't want to do work. I didn't want to go to class. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to sit there and rot. And that's essentially what I did my senior year. And in May, I had to like get all my credits and everything done. I feel like May was the only time I've ever like done academic schoolwork. May 2024. I had turned 18, and then I somehow was able to walk. I graduated. I didn't think I was going to graduate. But that 2024, I had turned 18. I was handed a truck. Okay? My dad pulled some strings with some of his connections in the pool industry to get a truck for $5,000. And at first, I thought this was it was an amazing gift for turning 18. I got a truck. Then he handed me this truck and he said, work. And that's essentially when I knew that my life was over. That's essentially when I started to come to terms with the fact that I think that my life is over. For the past 2 years after graduation, I talked to no one. Nobody talked to me. I had so many friends, especially my sophomore year. I had so many. friends. And no one talked to me besides these two girls, Maya and Natalie. I love you guys. Natalie was like my longest best friend. My first best friend since 8th grade. And I felt like I had no one. And at, for the past 2 years, I've been basically. I'm going to tell you my schedule, my routine. This is how my life has been for the past 2 years. I wake up at 8 o'clock. I wake up at 8 o'clock. I leave the house. I clean pools under the sun until 4 o'clock, maybe 5 or 6. And then I go home. And then I shower sometimes. A lot of the times I don't. I skip a shower. And then I eat and then I go to bed. And then I wake up around 8. And then I go to work, come back, skip another shower, eat, go to sleep, wake up, and just do everything again. And then, yeah, my first year, I felt like it was kind of manageable. 18 to 19, I felt like it was manageable. And then by the time I turned 19, I put my foot down and I said that there was no way in hell that I could ever like a girl. And I don't understand why it's such an issue with my dad and why it's... I just said, you can believe it, you cannot, you can think it's a phase, you can do whatever, but at the end, I'm gay, okay? That's what I said. And he said, okay. Didn't really speak to me for like a week. And then we don't talk about it anymore. I forgot to mention, all of middle school, high school, I went out one time with my friends. And that was my junior year. Maybe it was my senior, I don't remember. I think it might have been my senior year, actually. And it was 5 band kids. They were all sophomores. I think, either a junior or senior. And we went ice skating. And I don't know how to ice skate. And I felt like that was like the best day of my life. Because I didn't go out. I didn't really get invited to anything. And if I did, I remember like earlier I would like tell my parents, hey, I got invited to this. And they had to know everything about every single person going, everyone's parents, what exactly we were doing. And then I'd be interrogated for like 10 more minutes with like different variations of the same question. Are you guys going to smoke weed? Yes. The answer is yes. We're in high school and we're losers, and the answer is yes. Okay? Every single person in high school did it. There was like 25% of the school that didn't smoke. At the end of the day, was it wrong? Sure. But I didn't go out until my senior year because of this shit. I have never, ever in my life have been to a house party. I've never been to a house party. You don't understand how much of a loser I felt like. I felt like a fucking loser all of like my school career. Like I hated getting asked, hey, you gonna come out with us? I would say no. I would just say no because I wasn't gonna ask my parents because I knew what would happen. And then it just got to a point where I just wasn't asked to do anything anymore. I just wasn't asked to go out, and that's okay. But where was I? I came out at 19. I finally started going out rarely with my friend Maya. We could go to shows together. We saw Lady Gaga. Um, I really love Maya, but I don't. How do I say this? I feel like I can't tell her everything because every time I try to tell someone something, I'm either dramatic or it's my fault or I can't be tired, I can't be sad because my dad's more tired and sad. Every time my dad asks me, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" I ask him, I say, "Do you want to know the truth?" He says, "Of course I want to know the truth." I tell him, I hate this job. I'm so tired. I don't want to do this. And he's like, "You're tired? You're tired? How about me? Imagine me. Every single time." So it's gotten to the point now, every time they say, "Are you okay?" Because I haven't been normal. I have to say yes. I have to say yeah. Because I can't repeat that conversation over and over and over and over. And another thing I forgot to tell you guys. I have been like making music on my phone since 8th grade. And it really is like the only sort of solace that I have from my real life. That is my therapy, okay? I've all my emotions, all my feelings, all my experiences, they're in my songs. That is how I process my life, I guess. But I haven't been making music barely this past year. Because this past year, I've never felt more alone, more trapped, more. I just feel like my life is over. Why don't you leave? Why don't you get another job? I work for my dad, basically. How do I get paid? I ask him, "Hey, can you send me money?" And sometimes he will, sometimes he won't. And it's always $200. Oh, $200 is a good amount, actually. Well, when you think about pool cleaning, about 100 of that goes towards chemicals. So, okay, I'm at $100. And half of the job of pool cleaning is driving, so that's like $50. So that's $50 that I have. And then I spend that on food because it's hot as fuck outside and I need to eat. So I have $3 in my bank account right now. I have $90 in debt in my business account. Previously it was $290 since December 2nd. It's been so hard to pay it back because I don't have any money. And all the money that I make goes to my dad, and then he gives money to me when I really need it. Okay, what about the rest of the money? Why is it going to your dad? We bought a house. Okay, mind you, waitress, pool cleaner. We bought a house in South Florida in 2019. My dad didn't want the house. My older sister didn't want a house. I didn't want a house. My little brother wanted a house because it had a pool. My mom wanted the house. My dad is a cuck who prioritizes his wife's happiness over anything. And anytime I make mom mad, or my brother makes mom mad, who is my dad mad at? Us. Not because she could be mad over nothing. There's literally nothing that I can do without like me being the problem, I guess. And then I don't understand why he like everything he does is in service to her. But the funny part is, the only thing he talks about when he talks about her is how much he hates his wife. He hates his wife. All he does is complain and complain and complain and complain about my mom. But he has to keep her happy for no good reason. He hates my mom's family. He hates my mom's family. My last name is Walsh, okay? Anytime I fuck up or I do something wrong, say I'm Walsh. You're a Walsh. You're not my blood. You're a Walsh. What the fuck what? You decided to have kids with this lady. Why do you... I'm sick of it. I'm sick. So, he buys this house in 2019 off a pool cleaner and a waitress's salary. And ever since then, we've kind of been struggling with money. We used to live in a townhouse. We have never struggled with money before then. We have never struggled with money before that, but then we get a house with a pool. Guess who's cleaning the pool? All my money, I am paying off my house. I'm 19 years old, and all my money goes towards either doing more pools with chemicals and gas and food, or paying the bills. I don't have money. I don't have anything. All of my friends after high school, they went to college, and I didn't go to college because all I did was work. I feel like I have no one. I feel like I have nothing. I feel empty. I've never felt this way before, and I thought my 7th grade year was the worst year of my life, and then I thought my junior year was the worst year of my life. I've never felt this blank of a person ever. All I do is work, go home, take a shower sometimes, and then I sleep. And then I wake up, and then I repeat, and then I repeat, and repeat, and repeat. And I tell my parents I don't have a life. I don't have a life. What am I supposed to do? Oh, if I don't clean pools, we lose the house. If we lose the house, what else do we have? What else do we have? There's nothing else that I can do besides just clean pools and hope I make enough money to pay off the bills of the house. Why is this my problem? Why is this my problem? And I've told my dad, why am I paying off the house? Why am I paying off the house? You're paying off the house? Seriously? You skip pools on your route all the time. Why do I skip pools on my route all the time? Because I hate it. I hate it. I fucking play the flute. I'm a flute player. I'm not supposed to be working under the sun fucking 9 to fucking 7. Like, what? I don't understand. I don't understand why I have to do this. And I can't leave. Because if I leave, we either lose the house or I get kicked out, and there's nothing for me. I've been making music for 7 years. I've gotten pretty good, but I haven't learned how to mix. I haven't learned how to master. I feel like all this music that I've been making, that I've been putting my feelings in, that I've been putting every single one of my thoughts in, is all for nothing because it's gonna lead nowhere. Because my music doesn't sound professional. I don't know how to mix. I don't know how to master. I've tried to learn. I can't make connections because all I do is clean pools and then I sleep. I feel like my life is so fucking over and there's nothing that I could do about it. I've never felt so empty. And I'm just repeating what I've been saying. But that's all my life is. It's just a repeat of the same thing over and over and over. And I don't see myself doing anything else besides music. Anything else that would fulfill me besides music. If I'm not on stage, then I feel like there's nothing for me. I don't want to be an accountant. I don't want to go into the trades. I don't want to be an electrician. I don't want to be a plumber. And if I'm not either on stage with a microphone or on stage with a I'm blanking on it, the DJ tables, or I'm on stage with my flute, then I feel like there's genuinely nothing that will ever fulfill me. And I feel like I'm gonna die a pool cleaner. I feel like this is the rest of my life now. All I do is wallow in the fact that my life has been over since I turned 18. And my parents asked me, what do you want to do with your life? Well, my mom asked me. My dad doesn't give a shit. My mom asked me, what do you want to do with your life? Because she's so disappointed that I didn't go to college. Because I had the capacity to get scholarships. Okay? I was invited to play at Madison Square Garden and Royal Festival Hall in London because I was scouted at All County for my flute playing, and we couldn't afford that, so I didn't play at Madison Square Garden. I didn't play at Royal Festival Hall. I could have gotten scholarships, but I threw it all away during school because my grades were always bad. And she's so disappointed that I didn't go to college. And she's been wanting me to join community college for the past 2 years. And I keep saying, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. I feel like my time's up. When I say this, sometimes when I go over how I feel like I'm being dramatic, or I don't know, because I'm young, but I can't leave this job because then we lose the house or I get kicked out. And I just don't have time for anything. I barely go out with Maya. I've never had a boyfriend, and I feel like I never will. I got pretty close in November with this one guy that I met on Tinder, I think. And he was super yes, I want to be in a relationship. You're such a fun person, yada, yada, yada. And then the week of Thanksgiving, I guess, it was kind of over. We had talked about hey, I want a serious relationship. He said, I want a serious relationship too. And then suddenly he wasn't ready for it. And that kind of fucked me up. I don't know. There are times where I feel unlovable. Because the second thing that I want most in my life, besides being on stage, is to genuinely find a connection. And during my high school years, all I did was pine and wallow and yearn, and all I wanted was that high school love relationship that everyone got to experience besides me. I don't know. The apps don't work anymore. I don't get ads. Not even Grinder works. Grinder doesn't work for me. I can't just leave the house and say, "Mom, Dad, see, I'm gonna go hook up with someone." That's I can't do that. So it really feels like my life is like there's no reason to keep writing my story because what else is there to write until I'm like what 65. The only thing in my book, in the book of Gustavo, the only thing past the age of 18 that I don't know bibliographers or whatever are gonna write about me is he woke up every single Monday, every single Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He went to work and then he came home and then he went to sleep. And he hated his job, and that's it. And that's it. And I feel like I'm gonna die under the sun. I, f- I have dreams of running away, or running away in a different context. If you catch my drift, I don't know. I can't pay for a therapist because it's $150 a session. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. I. What is there for me to do? I can't make connections with people. I live the same day over and over again. All, I get fatter, I eat away my problems sometimes. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to live like this anymore. But I, I keep searching for an answer of how do I get out of this? I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place and they both have spikes. I, I, I feel like I'm bleeding out. I can't make music anymore. I can't make music anymore. After work, I lay in my bed in the dark. I pull out my phone, and I force myself to try and make a song to like describe how I feel, and I can't do it anymore. There's nothing else for me anymore. I feel like my whole existence can be categorized into two words: wasted potential. I live in a good place, okay? There's everything around me. South Florida is like, it's a 45-minute drive to Miami. I feel so close yet so incredibly far from my future. And there's nothing that I could do about it. I have to keep doing this job forever. And that's my life. That's my life. All of this to say, if there's any semblance of escape, my only avenue that I can see, the only thing that I've thought about that, hey, that could actually work is to, I don't know, get engagement online. My TikToks have never blown up. This YouTube channel used to be a podcast that I thought would blow up, and then it was well, I guess it still is, like this joint YouTube channel that me and Maya were planning on making. But we hang out so not often that, like, what are we gonna record? Us going to Taco Bell. So yeah, I'm a loser, and if you want to help a loser out, just I guess my I guess I'll link my album down under in the description. If you have 50 minutes to kill, if you like pop music, if you like dance music, and you don't mind that it's unmixed, unmastered, it just feels like a wall of sound in your ears, give it a listen. Let me know if I have some semblance of a future with my music. Or not. Or don't. That's fine. I remember, like, when I first, like, got, like, my first rough draft of an album in, like, my senior year. I told everyone, guys, I finally feel like I've made an album. And I think just Natalie listened to it. I don't know. I don't feel like anyone cares. But if you have 50 minutes, I'd appreciate it. So, whatever. Thank you.